Prophet ﷺ mentioned, يَنْزِلُ بِهَا النَّارِ, that causes a person to fall into the fire. أَبْعَدَ مِمَّا بَيْنَ الْمَشْرِقِ وَالْمَغْرِبِ, the distance between the east and the west causes you to go face first into the fire. لا يلقي لها بالا. You just talk, type, type. Think about what you're doing. That's going to come with you, holding yourself. When the Prophet ﷺ talked about the severity of riba, of interest and usury, with all of its branches, the least of it being compared to zina and incest, adultery. The last thing the Prophet ﷺ says, وَإِنَّ أَرْبَ الرِّبَى عِرْضُ الْمُسْلِمِ. The worst form of riba, the essence of riba, of usury, is the honor of your brother and sister. Your tongue being long with your brother and your sister. And so remember that hajji that I told you about in the very beginning, a person who's looking at the Kaaba who can flow with La ilaha illallah. يقول الإمام ابن الجوزي رحمه الله تعالى ومن سرح لسانه في أعراض المسلمين ومن سرح لسانه في أعراض المسلمين, that whoever lets their tongue loose on the honor of their brothers and sisters, أمسك الله لسانه عن الشهادة عند الموت. Allah will hold his tongue from being able to say shahada at the time of death. May Allah protect us. Let me tell you one of the most horrifying things to see, and anyone who's been around dying people will tell you that they've seen it, is a person who's dying and who's still fully conscious, and someone's telling them to say La ilaha illallah, and they're going, and it's as if you can see someone holding their tongue and saying, you're not going to be able to say it. No, you don't get this gift today. You don't get this gift right now. من سرح لسانه في أعراض المسلمين. That tongue was too loose with the honor of your brothers and sisters. أمسك الله لسانه عن الشهادة عند الموت. Allah Azza wa Jal holds back that tongue from saying the shahada at the time of death. Yes, a person dying and someone saying to him, say ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, and he says, I can't say what you're telling me to say. It's happened where a person feels held back. Why? Did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala catch that person by surprise? No, your tongue was too loose. Fingers were too loose. Talking about other people. في أعراض المسلمين. When it came to the honor of the believers. And by the way, this is true. SubhanAllah, as Imam al-Ghazali rahimahullah says about this disease of backbiting, every single age, every single social class is purged with this disease. There's the ghiba of the 16-year-old and the ghiba of the 60-year-old. There's the ghiba of the backbiting and the gossip of the poor person, the backbiting of the rich person. But it is a disease that plagues every single class of people, and that's why it is so warned against. I don't care if you come to the masjid all the time. I don't care if you read Qur'an all the time. And you pray all the time. And mashallah, you do so many other things. Your tongue is loose with the behavior and with the honor of people. It might come back to grab you on the day of judgment. And that's a jail, that's a prison that comes down at that time. So fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with that tongue. Fear Allah with that tongue. SubhanAllah, and Imam Sufyan al-Thawri rahimahullah talks about the disconnect in this life that he felt from one of his ibadat. He said, حُرِّمْتُ مِنْ قِيَامِ اللَّيْلِ سِتَّةَ أَشْهُرٍ. I was forbidden from Qiyam al-Layl for 6 months. Why? لِأَنَّنِي رَأَيْتُ رَجُلًا يَبْكِي وَقُلْتُ فِي نَفْسِي أَنَّهُ لَا يَبْكِي لِلَّهِ. I saw a man crying in the masjid and I said to myself, he's not crying for Allah. That's a person who spoke to themselves. What about a person who speaks to others? Oh, you see that brother, mashallah, making announcements. You see that brother doing this. You see that sister. Don't they always love to do that? You know how they are. Always find their way there. Always do this. Always do that. Can you imagine if Sufyan al-Thawri, the righteous man, is saying, I was forbidden for 6 months for something I said inside. Then what is the crime of a person who actually speaks that to someone else? That's a barrier that you're putting between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Dear brothers and sisters, is this meant to scare us? In a way, yes, because we need to be afraid of these sins. Otherwise, we fall into muhaqqarat al-dhunub, we fall into the belittling of these sins. But the only thing I want to put across to each and every single one of us is that these are things that are dealt with through introspection. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made some of the causes of disconnect from Him more subtle, but He has not made them invisible to a sincere, striving, introspective Muslim. And I don't care how old you are. I can tell you, subhanAllah, that the best hajji that I had this year, and Allah knows the state of the Hajjaj, was a man who learned to do salah the day before he boarded his plane to Hajj. Can you imagine that? And may Allah accept the Hajj of him and the Hajj of everyone else. But subhanAllah, this is the flip side of that. Ya Allah, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. I seek your forgiveness. Help me remove the barriers. Ma alimtu minhu wa ma lam a'lam. That which I know about and that which I don't know about. So that I can flow with La ilaha illallah with khushu' in this life. And at the time of death say La ilaha illallah with ease. And then in my grave say La ilaha illallah with ease. And be raised up on the day of judgment with La ilaha illallah. May Allah remove all of the barriers between us and Him. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remove all of the stains from our hearts. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give our souls their tazkiyah, their purification. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us for our shortcomings. May Allah forgive us for the sins that we know of and the sins that we don't know of. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from deluding ourselves and deceiving ourselves. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be amongst those who live and die and are raised upon La ilaha illallah. Allahumma ameen. Aqulu qawli hadha wa astaghfirullah li wa lakum wa lisa'il muslimin fastaghfiru innahu al-ghafurur rahim.